welcome to Tome of Uselessness. I'm Devin.
I'm Dan.
And this is our podcast.
It is.
Today we're talking about everybody's favorite show about dragons and other things.
And thrones.
And thrones. It's a really good chair show.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Yay.
Season... last one.
8.
Thank you. Just ended. The show is over, and people aren't happy. Some people are happy. I don't know. We're gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
But first, we like things. Dan, did you like anything this week?
Yeah, I've been doing some watching for prep for other things, but in between, I've actually kind of almost finished a whole rewatch of Rick and Morty.
Nice.
And
That's coming out soon, isn't it?
No, I think November.
Do you know what comes out before it?
Disenchanted or Enchantment? Is it Disenchantment or Enchantment? I don't know.
I don't know.
But that comes out in September.
Also that, but also the Downton Abbey movie.
Oh.
The trailer got released.
Oh, I better mark that on the calendar. But yeah, Rick and Morty, all 3 seasons, good stuff.
There's only 3 seasons?
That's it so far, yeah.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
I thought there was more. Yeah, that's it. That's all you like?
Yeah.
Cool. I like... Hang on, I wrote this down on my phone. There was 2 things I liked. First, I started reading John Ronson's book, So You've Been Publicly Ashamed. There was a lot of public shaming going on the internet this week with the James and Tati fiasco and the Pro Jared fiasco. And I think Jake Paul got in a fight with somebody. Anyways, so I've been reading So You've Been Publicly Shamed. It's really good. And the other thing that I liked was that the 3rd season of Nailed It came out. So I've been watching a couple episodes of that a night.
Nice.
Which is like, it's the best show to watch when you're just like, ugh, I don't want to think, but I want to laugh. The host is so good. She makes it good.
Nice.
She makes it good.
Well, that's their job.
Yeah. Because it's like people doing Pinterest gigs.
Yes, I remember.
Harshly failing at it.
Yeah.
And it would be so easy to find somebody to host it who's just mean or who's like tries to be nice about it. She's like the perfect mixture of both, where she's like, this is garbage, but you tried.
You tried your darndest.
Yeah. There we go.
Cool.
Things that we like.
As usual.
Should we?
Oh, I also, I've been just kind of in between things. I've been rereading Uzumaki, which is always great. By Junji Ito. Recommend that, of course.
Cool. I say something that I found mediocre.
Okay.
I started reading Practical Magic, the like novel that the movie's based after.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know how the movie kind of is just mediocre but like watchable?
Sure.
This book is mediocre but readable.
Oh, okay. So they captured the book spirit well.
Well, I mean, there's a lot that differs from book to movie.
Yeah.
The biggest similarity though is that they're sisters who are witches, and also the story is mediocre, but you can consume it anyways.
Because I was going to say, that ties in excellently with how it differs from books to movies for their topic. With the Game of Thrones, Season 8 just ended. Dun, 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 dun.
I've just been singing the Game of Thrones theme song around the house. I sing it to the cats, so I sing it with meows.
Actually, it's pretty much stuck in my head as well.
Yeah. Speaking of the cats and meows, this is a side note, but this is a thing that I like. If you have cats and you have Google Home, ask your Google to play Jingle Cats, because the cats start talking back to it, and it's really cute.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Alright, so I guess we'll talk about Game of Thrones.
Yes, let's get into it. Assume spoilers, that you've seen it.
You know what?
Because you wouldn't be listening to this show unless you've seen it.
Yeah.
And full disclosure, we've mentioned it a couple times, but we did record 2 Games of Thrones episodes. Our first one was after season 7, and it was one of the first things we recorded.
Yeah.
We didn't like it, how it turned out.
Wasn't it the first thing we recorded?
It was either the second or the first thing. I think it was the second. And then...
Oh, yeah, I think, Choppy Death Note was first. Yeah.
And then we were on to re-record, and we did. Audio issue, we lost it.
Yeah.
So we were like, we're not doing one until the end.
Yeah.
Well, we were like season 8, but then season 8 we found out was the end.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Yeah. So Dan, you've read every book that's out.
Yeah, except for the one that's sort of like a prequel about the night.
Okay,
guy.
you haven't read any of the like companion stuff or...
Well, I own the history book, which I've read a ton of it. I read like the history part, and then I didn't bother reading all the family trees because I'm like, the history part was cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you've watched the whole show.
Yes, from the beginning. I'm one of those people that literally episode 1 watched it from then.
I remember you took you like a year and a half to get me to watch it.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I think I watched the opening scene and I decided it wasn't for me.
Yeah, whereas I was hooked immediately. I was like, awesome. Creepy, weird, dead stuff. Kid running around getting executed by Ned Stark. I'm in.
I don't think I made it to the creepy dead stuff. I think I saw 2 guys in the woods and I was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Turning it off. I have not read any of the books.
Right.
I've watched the whole show. Mm-hmm. And I've watched many a YouTube commentary.
Right. Which is something I usually don't do.
Yeah. So I feel like I've absorbed some of the history of Thrones.
Probably, yeah.
That way.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's probably a lot of stuff you know that I don't, and
I know.
like I say, it all kind of blurs together when because I've read the books and this, and then people mention stuff, and I'm like, is that dude or is that this? And anyway, I can get into it anyway. But
so, overall, did you enjoy the show?
Like season 1 to 8.
Season 1 to 8.
Yes.
The whole thing.
It's high quality television, and I think it suffers from what other high quality television shows suffer from. My usual go-to example is Archer, is when you compare later stuff to itself, it sucks.
Yeah.
But when you compare it to other television, it's still pretty high quality.
What did you think about season 8 specifically?
I am disappointed.
Best season ever?
I would say overall I'm disappointed just because we didn't get to see it play out over a longer period of time.
That's fair.
I'm fine with the way the story went, and we can get into it, and I'm fine with some of the things. I'm obviously disappointed by some things, but the overall is it just would have been better given the time. And I don't totally buy the logic that they're like, because they wanted to spend sort of less money, because they spent almost the same amount of money that they spend on every
They were also offered more money.
Yes, that was going to be my problem here, is that they turned down the opportunity to make it longer.
Yeah.
To favor for this format, and anyway, I won't get too much into it, but I would still recommend highly watching it.
Okay. I almost enjoyed the full show. I've had a real problem with it since Cersei blew up the church.
The Septon, yeah.
Yeah, with wildfire.
I totally agree that since that season, it has dipped in quality.
Yeah. There's been a lot of things that I've just been like... but that being said, it like... The story is not good, but everything else about it is good.
Well, and plus one of the main survivors is not one of your favorite characters, let's say.
Yeah, so I'm going to address that right now.
Okay.
I did not like Jon Snow for the majority of the show.
Correct.
I have no problem with Kit Harington. I think he's very charming. But in season, was it 3, Ygritte shot an arrow at him?
Yeah.
I thought he was dead, and I was so happy because I found him so annoying.
Yeah.
And because every character in Game of Thrones dies.
Yeah.
So I was so pumped that this character was dead, and then he came back in the next episode or whatever.
Yeah. He fought in the battle.
And then I was devastated. And then he died again.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes.
And it was a pretty, hey, that's pretty final death.
Yeah, but nope, comes back to life again. And then there was last season, does he go under in the icy water at one point?
Yeah.
And I was like, yes. And then it was like, no. But I didn't mind him this season.
Right.
But, yeah. But that's not the only problem I have with the show.
Sure.
The story is what I have a problem with, but that being said, everything else was pretty good about it.
Yeah.
But it's hard to ignore the story unless you watch it without, like, in a different language, maybe. Maybe then I'd enjoy it. Then I could fill in the blanks myself, and I'd be like, wow, this is really good.
Yeah.
And this season in particular, I felt like... So with good shows, I'm not talking about The Big Bang Theory.
Okay.
But they kind of have a little bit of a thesis statement.
Right.
So, like, Breaking Bad, which I never saw, is like good people can do bad things, kind of, right?
Sure.
It's a pretty good way to describe it. Right?
I've only seen season 1. It's on the list to finish. So.
Well, he sells drugs. So
he sells drugs.
I assume. Yeah. But like good shows. I can't. What's another good show?
There's so many good shows.
Westworld.
Sure, Westworld's really
What
good.
makes somebody human?
Yeah, that's
cool,
a classic.
Right?
Yeah.
Great. I felt like season 8 undid any potential thesis that this show could have had.
Okay, yeah.
The end.
Yeah.
So, but we'll get to that in a minute. How would you like to start this? I have 4 pages of notes. I'm prepared to.
Yeah, I'm outnoted today.
Normally I have no notes.
Yeah.
And I can't remember any of the characters' names.
I just got my standard 1-pager. I don't know, I mean, I feel like we could just do a couple, like okay, episode 1, it was just all the reunions of everybody showing up at Winterfell, blah, blah, blah. I did really like the scene with Tarly, where Daenerys tells him that she killed his dad and brother.
Oh, Sam.
Sam.
Yeah.
Sam Tarly, sorry.
And he cries.
He cries, but he nailed it. Like, he kind of kept it still kind of like, like, and she was like, oh, like, just like her face too. I thought that was so well done because Samuel never liked his dad anyway, but he liked his brother.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, that was a loss there.
And then immediately after, Bran the Broken's like, yeah, you gotta go talk to Jon and convince him to do this thing. Anyways.
So not much went on really that episode. It was just more just getting all the characters to Winterfell.
I love Sansa this season.
Sure.
And I loved her last season, but I love her more this season. So she's been great since episode 1.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then episode 2, they get ready for battle.
Yeah, I did actually really like this episode.
Hey, I found nothing wrong with this episode. I like that Arya and Gendry had sex.
Sure.
I think that Twitter got really mad about it, but hey...
Oh, really?
Yeah. Twitter gets mad about it, I think.
Sure.
But I thought that was a cool kind of humanizing moment for Arya, that she wanted to experience something she's never experienced before.
She might die.
I was fine with it.
Yeah, I actually really liked the scene, of course, when they were all in the fireplace room with all of them together, like Tyrion, Brienne.
Oh, is that when Brienne becomes a knight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but like before that, even when they're just all hanging out and then Podrick sings and everything like that was all just really good stuff that it was like, again, kind of, they're like, all our crap, we have to put it aside.
Yeah.
We could all die. And then, I thought that was a really cool scene. And Brienne becoming a knight. That was cool.
That was cool. Good for her. So episode 3.
This is where it kicks off here. This is where...
I have to go die now.
This is where the Night Army attacks.
Yeah.
The Army of the Undead is here.
Night Walkers... No, Night King and the White Walker crew attack. It's a cool-looking battle.
Yeah.
There were some good special effects.
Very.
By the way, I've been watching... Oh, speaking of this season... Sorry, I'm all over the place. I did not see this season in order.
You didn't see this season in order?
Yeah.
Oh.
I started with episode 4.
Odd.
But because I didn't have my Crave subscription at that point, and I was waiting for you to give it to me on a memory stick, but there was issues with that.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, and 3, it's instantly spoiled if you go on the internet. So I was just watching the HBO making of documentaries that they released the next day.
Right, yeah, you were telling me that.
So I watched the first 3. I watched how they were made before I actually saw them.
Nice. Which doesn't matter really for 1 and 2, but maybe a little bit for 3.
Whatever. There's some cool special effects stuff though.
Yeah.
One thing that they learned in the Battle of the Bastards is that it's hard to make corpses individually.
Yeah.
And because it's really hard to move them around for shots and stuff. So they made corpse pallets that were like a pile of corpses, and then they piled those around. I thought that was really cool.
They were molded, you were saying. Right?
Yeah, they molded a pile of corpses, and then they would have real people go lie down in it too.
Just for effect.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. Anyways, this episode was terrible. But their corpses were fantastic.
Yeah, for me, this is where I was talking about the issue of the time, where it was like a 90-minute episode, but it should have just been 2 episodes. Because the 90 minutes wasn't even long enough to tell the entirety of the battle in a satisfying way.
So, I know we're going through the synopses of things.
Sure.
But this is a major issue that I had. The entire show, the Night King is set up as the biggest, baddest bad guy.
Yep.
This should have been episode 5.
This should have been almost a whole season.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if we're going to stay within the realm of there only being 6 episodes,
Right.
then it makes sense to do the big bad guy last and not in the middle of the season.
Yeah, I thought my initial thinking was I was like, okay, they're going to lose at Winterfell, and they're going to have to keep fighting them southward till eventually they butt into Cersei's forces.
Yeah.
And then they're going to have to figure something out. Because I was like, there's no way they can just beat the Night King.
Yeah, there is.
Apparently there is. Yeah, exactly. Like, I was just like, oh, man.
So yeah, I had a real problem with putting this before facing Cersei because then
Right.
it makes Cersei seem like she's going to be a bigger bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was no payoff for that either.
Yeah.
Right?
Which we'll get to.
Which we will get to.
Here was my main problem with the way the episode was constructed was, so you got all the big fighting outside, like there was some cool stuff there, this and that, and then the dead managed to get into the gates and to the inside walls of Winterfell, and then there's a little bit of a chase, and then they cut, and then suddenly Arya's alone and the castle's quiet, and she's sneaking around,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, she was just chased by dead people a second ago. Where is anyone else? Where is other dead people? And then they're just shuffling around, even though moments ago they were running around all zombie mindlessly, like Rage Zombie style. And
So
I'm like,
can I
this does not
tell you
add
what
up.
the writers were thinking?
I'm thinking it was fine if there was a good transition between the two.
I agree.
Yeah.
But let's see if I can get this right. They wanted the episode to feel like 3 distinct styles of movies.
Sure.
So they wanted it to be, I feel like it's something, a horror movie and an action movie.
Makes sense.
And so the horror movie part, like they wanted that feel of like zombies and stuff. And that's why it's like a sudden change in tone.
Everything. Yeah.
And everything. But yeah, just like, there's so many parts of this season where I feel like the writers had an idea and it was a good idea, but they only had C, they didn't have A and B.
Sure.
So it just doesn't make sense. It's just like throwing things.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was my main problem. I was like, I'm fine with like what was going on. It was just like there was no connection. It felt like there was either like a bunch of time missing or what? Like,
Yeah.
like the castle is suddenly empty. No, there was no one else in the castle fighting anymore. Like I was just like, well, okay, whatever. And then all of them hiding in the crypts, and I was like, Jon knows they can raise the dead. What are they doing? And I was just like, you're just waiting for it because you're like, this is eventually going to happen.
Yeah.
Can you just get to it, please?
Yeah. And better than it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess this
but their ultimate plan is Bran. Okay, yeah, and here was another thing as well.
Bran is
like, I'll go into the garden as bait because the Night King's trying to kill me because then he'll be free or whatever. We don't know the plot. It's never told why.
No, it's because he holds all of humanity's history, and if the Night King kills him, then that means humanity has nowhere to go. Beep boop.
And here was another thing I was saying that I felt that it could have been with him because I thought there was going to be some sort of battle of wills between Bran and the Night King.
No, when he's wiped out, that means that when they wipe out the rest of humanity, that humanity can never come back.
They're all dead.
Well, in case they're not all dead.
It's never explained why he specifically is trying to kill him. We know that the Night King was created by the Children of the Forest.
Yeah.
And it went wrong, but it was just like, why? Because the guy has no reason to specifically target Bran. Like,
he touched him in a dream.
yes, but that's why you can track him. And here was my other main issue as well, like you were saying. Okay, so Night King's built up, he's the ultimate bad guy, but he's got his, like, posse with him.
Yeah, who are also super hard to kill, but no.
Yeah, and then when Arya kills the Night King, which was, okay, that was visually cool, but I was like, and then all of them die. And I was like, those other guys they were nothing? Like...
Yeah, because the Night King created them, too.
I didn't like that logic.
Yeah, it was really stupid.
Yeah.
It was stupid to have a bad guy that you built up for 7 seasons, 8 seasons or whatever, and have him die in like an instant and also eliminate all threat. That's really dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, he never had to fight Bran in some way. John never had to fight him in some way.
Yeah, like, what was Bran even doing?
Yeah.
He was like, I'm gonna fly around as a crow for a bit. See ya.
Yeah, like, I was trying to think, because in the dragon fight, did he, like, distract them in any way?
No.
I honestly thought he was going to try to have to warg into the dead ice dragon and control that, and I was like, oh, that would be cool.
Everybody wanted him to do that.
Well, it made sense.
Yeah, that's why they didn't do it.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I think I have no problem with Arya killing the Night King.
Sure.
No problem with it. I do have a problem with setting up prophecy and then not following through on it, which is fine if you make a point of like...
Prophecy doesn't matter. Yeah, we make our own choices, etc. Yeah. We've all seen that.
Yeah, that's fine. It would be like the end of Kakagori, right?
Yeah.
Where he's like, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
It just... Or, you know, maybe... Here's a way that I would have been okay with it also. If John completely lost a sense of identity afterwards, because he's like, I thought I was the chosen one. Everybody thought I was the chosen one. What am I? I'm nothing. Because it turns out he's nothing and he doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
Right.
That's their thesis. Anyways.
Moving on from episode 3.
Yeah, episode 4. I liked this episode.
Yeah.
Winterfell mourns their dead.
Yeah.
With drinking. Dany feels isolated.
Yeah.
She wants to attack King's Landing right away.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was just it was a good wrap up as well, and then I got to, let's see, so much teleportation because everyone's just like, we're going there, and then they're just there.
Yeah.
And then I thought this was just not poorly executed, just ridiculous again. Just one of the other dragons just goes down. I'm like, come on.
Oh yeah. Oh, and then I guess was it episode 4 that Sansa told Tyrion?
Yes.
Yeah.
About Jon.
About Jon.
Because Daenerys is like, okay, don't tell your family, and it's fine. Only you and I have to know the secret.
So back in episode 2.
Yeah.
Jon told Daenerys that he was her nephew.
Yes.
And therefore the rightful heir to the throne. But he didn't want it. She's still his queen.
Yes.
So she told him, don't you dare tell anybody else this. Yeah. And then he did. He told his sister, because he chose family over duty.
Yeah. But he swore them to secrecy.
Yeah. But Sansa...
Which we immediately all knew was not going to work.
Immediately Sansa's like, hey, Tyrion.
Yeah.
I don't think Arya told anyone.
I don't think so either.
But yeah.
Well, let's see here. Oh yeah, and this was kind of, so they like, not confront, but they kind of have a...
Oh, and Brienne and Jaime boink.
Yeah, yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very important note.
Right. No, I was going to say, so Cersei's at the gate and they're there and then they're like, hey, surrender.
Wait, that was this episode too? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
And I was actually really shocked because they make a lot of points in the earlier, especially after Cersei had to go through her ordeal when the Sparrows, that she was like, I'm never leaving the Red Keep again. Yeah. And there she is at the front gate and I was like, no, she wouldn't even be there.
Yeah, that's
like,
a good point.
She has minions, that's the whole point.
Yeah, she's got
Qyburn and everything. And
yeah.
Him and Tyrion have some dialogue back and forth, and
then they kill Daenerys' friend.
And they kill Missandei.
Yeah, and she says, fire, fire.
Yes, but in Valyrian.
Draconis.
Or Valantin, or whatever.
Yeah, we can't fucking hear it's all made up.
Dracarys, anyway.
Yeah. Cool.
And then that leads to episode 5.
The best episode ever. Lots of people were mad about episode 5.
Really?
Lots of people.
Oh. See, this is stuff I don't know because I don't look at fan stuff.
Oh my god, everybody was upset. Everybody said this character arc came out of nowhere.
Daenerys, I assume you're saying here.
I disagree. I think they've been setting it up for a long time.
I totally agree with that as well. I fully accepted.
Probably could have used a little more time this season.
Yeah.
But considering how fast everything's going.
Yeah. Well, because it was even set up literally in the episode before when Tyrion is talking with her, and then she's all like haggard, which I did like that.
Yeah, it was great.
Oh no, sorry, it's in this episode.
Yeah, at the beginning of this episode.
In the beginning, yeah, where she's like all tired and worn out, and all her enemies are swirling around her, according to her brain.
Yeah.
And then she's just like, okay, well, it's fear then, or whatever. And I was like, yeah, it didn't come out of nowhere to me, but.
So they attack King's Landing. Oh, first they kill Varys.
Yes.
Which is almost like a footnote now.
Which is ridiculous
because he's the main character.
Yeah.
That should have been one episode all about his death, you know? Like if it was a previous season.
Yeah.
Anyways, whatever. They attack King's Landing. They're winning. King's Landing is surrendering. The bells are ringing. And then she's like, no, I'm going to burn this fucker to the ground.
Pretty much.
Also, on a side note, so previously the scenes in King's Landing was filmed in Dubrovnik in Croatia, but they didn't want to destroy the very old buildings.
Makes sense.
So they reconstructed the entire city.
Nice.
And then on top of that, they reverse engineered it. So they made the broken city first, and then they put the pieces together on top of the broken, and then they didn't tell the actors fully, so things would get like destroyed and people would be seeing it for the first time. So a lot of it was practical effects, which I thought was very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very
Obviously, a lot of it was CG because there was a dragon.
There was dragon fire.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's very cool.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they had done that. I of course figured that it was, soundstage or etc.
Yeah. No, they bought. So they had a studio in Ireland. They bought the parking lot next to it to make it into a studio lot specifically for the scene.
Cool.
Or it was for the other. It might have been for his episode. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They bought a lot.
Yeah. Before we continue, I do have the note about the Varys stuff because. He's shown writing notes they assume he's sending ravens to be
guess what? None of that pays off.
John's the true heir, blah, blah, blah. And then maybe he was setting them up because he speaks with John briefly. And, he's like, hey, because I liked his dialogue here. He's like, look, I've served tons of kings and queens.
Wait, before we get into the John conversation.
Okay.
He's talking to his little bird at the beginning?
Yeah.
So, I don't know if I missed this, but he was asking if Daenerys ate breakfast, and she's like, no. And he's like, oh, we'll try again at lunch?
Yes.
See, I thought that just meant that he wanted her to eat, but apparently it means they were trying to poison her?
I was thinking it could be either.
Oh, okay.
Because that's what my note is here, that he was playing a dangerous game almost in a sense. I was like, is he trying to poison her, or is he just trying to make sure she is not going too crazy? Because again, like when she's speaking with Tyrion, if she's all like malnourished and etc. Because again, it was shown in previous seasons that people did try to poison her.
Oh really?
Yeah. So she could be thinking, I'm in Westeros now. Someone might be trying to poison me. I'm not going to be eating this.
Not going to eat anymore. Yeah.
So like I said, it was kind of like I could have seen it either way, but I also know that he probably wouldn't have done that on the eve of trying to take over the city because they need a dragon.
Yeah.
Right, so he'd be smart enough for that.
That's what I figured, but that's what people online were saying.
Like I said, I was speculating that, but I feel that he wouldn't do that because he would be like, we would lose our major tactical advantage. They don't know what's going to happen if a dragon goes nuts.
Fair.
It'll just go away. So.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
So he speaks briefly with John because he's like, I've served kings and queens. I know what they do, what they say they do to the public, but how they really act. And he's like, I know how you really act. You gotta be king, bro. And he's like, nope. She's my queen, blah, blah, blah. Right?
Classic John.
Classic John sticking with the oaths.
Yeah.
Trying to do the right thing. And I just thought I was like, he's right. Varys says, like, he's like, people always have that facade, and leaders, of course, especially have that facade. And it's like, but who they really are is always different. So it was too bad. He was one of my favorite characters from the beginning.
Yeah, he's good. I liked Littlefinger. I was more of a Littlefinger fan.
That was kind of the thing, that it was like, especially in the beginning, the show was like almost set up that it was like there was the forces, the Littlefinger's overarching plot versus Varys's overarching plot to just keep things safe for the people. But then they kind of just forgot about that eventually.
Okay, so other things that happened in this episode. Clegane Bowl.
Right, yes.
Jaime and Euron fight.
Yeah.
The fight that nobody cared about.
Also, like, I mean, I know he lives in the ocean, but he swims like 10,000 miles to get
He lives in the ocean. He's not a mermaid.
Yeah. Merman. No, but he, like, you know, his whole fleet gets destroyed, and he's like...
Well, no, because so here's how I had it explained to me.
Right.
He's a psychopath.
Right.
And the only thing that he cares about is killing Jaime.
Sure.
So he used that hatred to fuel him to shore.
Here was one of my favorite things about the episode, was that as a fantasy fan, and we don't get to see it very often, was to see a full-grown dragon just tearing shit up.
Yes.
It takes down the Iron Fleet like it was nothing, like it should have done earlier when they had two of them, but one of them dies. I was so annoyed because I was like, they're just go fly over there and burn them.
Yeah.
Whatever. Finally got to do that, and then the city, you know, that's what would happen. That's how it should have gone down.
Yeah, totally.
This was better than the Smaug, because he gets lanced. This is destruction and devastation.
Yep. Other things that happen. Cersei dies.
Yeah.
Cersei, the biggest bad guy of the whole season, basically dies off screen.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to get out of the castle that she lives in.
Yeah, and so Tyrion freed Jaime because he's like, look, go to Cersei, tell her to just surrender and like leave the city. I'll get a boat placed for you down at the bottom of the keep. You can get away, go make a new life. Just, I don't want all my family dead. Cool. Jaime eventually beats Euron, but he gets shanked fatally. Gets up there and he's like, okay, let's go back down. They go there, it's collapsed in, and then they're just like, oh, and then they get collapsed on. I like the visual kind of, all your power and trappings don't matter, you're gonna get buried in the earth because forces you can't control. Cool. But again, maybe it was just the speed at how it was done, and just like, it just seemed like unsatisfactory.
Well,
because we didn't even get any scenes with her.
Yeah, she basically got paid a shit ton of money to drink wine by window.
Yes.
What was unsatisfactory for me was that she never faced any consequences. Like, nobody... It was never like, why did you do this? Or blah, 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 blah. It was just, I'm gonna get crushed in this.
Yeah, and there was no, like, even before she flees down from the Red Keep, when Daenerys does, like, the first flyby, I was like, oh, okay, cool, like, we'll finally get our two queens,
They don't even meet.
They don't even say a word to each other. I was like, I thought she would fly, like, you know, hover, be outside, be like, bitch, you're going down, or something.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you killed my friend, or, you know, I'm here to break the wheel, like she's always talking about. Nothing. And I was kind of disappointed at that.
Also, this was a very pretty episode, but I did not need 20 fucking minutes of Arya walking around.
Yeah, I thought it went on a little longer than it should have.
Like filler to me. It did, the penultimate episode of Game of Thrones shouldn't feel like filler.
Yeah.
It shouldn't.
And I do definitely agree that, like, the music and the cinematography in this episode was really, really good. Like, top-notch, breathtaking shots and the cello, and I was like, holy jeez. But it was definitely starting to, like, I was like, okay, this is dragging on a little bit. This feels in the service of nothing.
I don't care about her stupid horse.
Yeah, like...
That might be Bran.
Oh, is that the theory?
Yeah, Bran sent the horse.
Oh, I just assumed it was a Dothraki horse, which also...
would make more sense.
To me, yeah. But how does she still have Dothraki left? I thought they all died. Charging the undead.
No, listen, 20 died.
Oh, okay. Right. More like 20,000.
She shouldn't have 3,000 unsullied either, but she does.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it felt like it just went on a little too long, or it's kind of like that should have they could have cut down on the Clegane fight a little bit more to lead us into the Arya point of view.
Yeah, Clegane fight felt really pointless too because the Mountain can't die. He's already dead.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Also, like, I like Sandor Clegane as a character, but I didn't care about him having to eventually kill his brother as an arc. I was kind of like, yeah.
I thought he got over that when he built that church.
Yeah.
For Wednesday.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. So, I don't know. I was kind of like, I guess it was just like what the people wanted.
I guess it's weird to give fan service to that, but not to other things.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, because it didn't seem like it was such a, like, that was like E-plot that we didn't, like, we don't have time for E-plot. We only have time for ABC plot right now.
We don't have time for anything, apparently.
Yeah, because, and here was something that I assume we'll talk about in coming up, that it was like, I thought the whole point with the whole Arya stuff was to set up the fact that she's like, oh my god, I have to kill Daenerys.
Yeah.
No.
No, okay, let's get into the next episode.
Sure.
Unless there's anything else about 5 you want to talk about.
Well, no. I don't know.
It made me sad.
No, like I said, it was really good. It was entertaining, but then it was also kind of like weird and then jarring in so many ways. And then like the forces, like all of like Jon's guys, they're just like running with Grey Worm when they would know that Jon would be like, no, they surrendered. Like, we out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't even know what's happening anymore.
Yeah, they made Grey Worm kind of a villain, which
suddenly, yeah.
They did him wrong. They did him wrong.
Well, he was just mad that Missandei got killed.
Yeah, but yeah, anyways.
Yeah.
I will say, because I have not always been the kindest to Emilia Clarke, that she was a very good actress in this episode.
Yeah.
When she's like on her, hearing the bells on her dragon, her face is all contorting. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good face contort. Okay, episode 6.
The final episode.
So, I don't know, you might not have a problem with this, but how come, regardless of when it's set in time, they always make somebody that they want to show as evil look a little Nazi-ish? Why always do that?
I guess
they do it in Star Wars. They do it in V for Vendetta.
It's easily recognizable imagery to the, pop culture psychology.
Yeah, and then there's that scene that the shot that everybody likes where the dragon's taking off behind Daenerys and it looks like she has wings. And I'm like, yeah.
I kind of internally chuckled because I thought it was like, I was like, get it, but also I was like, it seems so cliche almost in a sense.
Just beat it over my head.
Yeah, that was kind of it. I was just like, I did chuckle. Like I was like, oh, that's visually cool, but I'm like, this is not needed.
And I was like, she's like a dragon now. I'm like,
she's been saying that for like 6 seasons.
Okay, so aftermath, Daenerys has taken over King's Landing.
Before that,
Tyrion
and Jon and them wandering in the city.
Oh yeah, they're sad.
They're sad.
Oh, oh yeah. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'll say Tyrion goes to the castle to see what if his family made it out. Immediately, here's what I'm going to say about this. I thought that was super dumb because we saw previously how the entire underground was collapsing. And then yet he goes in there and he's able to find them in this not so collapsed ground. But B,
they could have stepped over like 4 feet to the right and been fine.
The scene was great, and Peter Dinklage, of course, has nailed it, and the imagery was great.
Oh yeah.
But I was disappointed by how much of the castle was essentially left. Like when you walk through the map room, I was like, that should have been all collapsed. We were seeing collapsing.
So, and here's another thing.
Yeah.
Regardless of everything else that happens in this episode, I found it very strange that no character was like, "Where's Cersei?
Yeah.
Is she dead?
Yeah.
Is she dead alive?"
Dude, everyone's like, "Oh, where's the body?"
Yeah.
Even Daenerys.
Yeah, nobody gave a shit.
Yeah.
I guess you could be like, "Oh, we talked about it off screen," but I'm like, you set her the fuck up as the big bad, and then your characters don't even care if she's alive or dead?
Yeah, like even when eventually, after she gives her speeches, which I was when her and Tyrion are talking, he doesn't even say anything about, hey, like, I found my sister dead, like...
Yeah, and she doesn't ask.
Yeah, she doesn't ask either.
They don't...
But then after that...
So she gives her speech.
Yes.
She fires Tyrion.
Well, and her speech basically boils down to, hey,
we're gonna kill everyone.
Yeah, we did this. It was a good thing. Let's keep it rolling.
Here's how to break the wheel. We kill everyone.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it rolling. The fight is not over, even though we just fought 2 wars, literally.
Yeah. So Tyrion gets arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Jon goes to talk to him. Tyrion's like, you gotta kill her. And he's like, she's my queen.
Yeah.
Then he goes and kills her. Sorry.
Yeah. Here's the thing as well, because we were saying off air, I do have some coworkers that listen to or to watch Game of Thrones. Sorry, I don't think they listen to our show. I think one maybe does, maybe 2. But anywho, point of the story is, they had asked me, and I was like, look, I don't want to get too much into predictions, but I was like, Jon's gonna kill Daenerys. That's the only thing that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But I did predict that Arya would try. And then Jon would have to fight her in some way, and then realize what am I doing? This is totally wrong. She's on the wrong, not Arya.
I was wondering if Daenerys was going to kill Jon, and then Arya was going to kill Daenerys.
Right. But before the killing, Daenerys walks into the room with the Iron Throne. And
just like her prophecy.
Just like her vision.
Which don't matter, apparently.
But just like her vision from season 2.
Yeah.
And my main thing here was it ash or snow? Because when they cut later and suddenly there's nothing and I'm like, okay.
No, because there's 3 weeks to pass.
I know, yes, but I was still I thought winter was coming, And that was the whole point of the show. Only sometimes.
Hey, I thought that was the point of the show too.
Yeah.
Turns out we were both wrong.
But yes, so they have a moment.
He pretends to kiss her and then he stabs her in the tummy.
Well, he tries to almost dissuade her.
And then blood comes out her nose and it's weird.
Well, it's assumed it's like a lung kind of puncture situation.
Yeah, it's so weird. I've never seen it come out the nose. Not that I'd go around stabbing.
Yeah. No, but he tries to almost dissuade her, or just to be like, hey, look, you burned kids and blah, 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 how can we have the moral choice or the ability to know everything that's right and wrong? And she's like, oh, we just can't do it because we're awesome.
Yeah.
And then it's in that moment he realizes, he's like, I gotta stop her. And I was like, yeah, this is what's gonna happen.
And then a dragon comes, because he was summoned by the death of his mom.
Yeah.
Just like Cubone.
Sure.
I don't know how Pokemon work.
Yeah.
And then he burns down the Iron Throne.
Yeah.
Because he is very good at metaphors.
I was also, what I was thinking when Drogon flies away, I was like, Jon was probably like, ah, man, I needed that to secure the power here.
Oh.
Yeah. I needed that guy.
Yeah, I was like, is Jon gonna get on the dragon and kill all the Dothraki and unsullied them?
Yeah, I thought maybe he'd do the thing where he flies out and he's like, look, I'm the king. Bow down, yo.
I got the dragon, whoever the dragon has the crown.
Yeah.
Nope, but instead, the dragon flew off with Daenerys because the writers needed a convenient way to get rid of a dragon.
Possibly, I guess. And then we just get a fade.
Yeah, we get a hard cut.
Yeah.
To the
Tyrion getting dragged out of prison.
Yeah.
He's got a beard, so you're like, okay.
The Council of Wise Folk.
Sure.
So, Bran becomes king.
Yeah, we get some good Peter Dinklage, some dialogue.
Yeah,
whatever.
I don't care. Do you think Bran should be king? Do you think he had the best story? He doesn't have the best story.
Well, I mean, I get not the logic, but I was just kind of like, all right, whatever. I mean,
here's the
out of
thing.
everybody that was at that council,
yeah,
Tyrion should be king. But he's hand to the king, cool. Because he did make a good point. He's like, people don't like me, so it's not me.
That's fair. Okay, so here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Bran's like, I don't want anything. I don't want anything.
Yeah.
I don't want any more. And then Tyrion's like, would you be king? And he's like, why do you think I came, bro?
I don't think he meant it like that.
I think he's just, I just feel like he's very, very sneaky because he's like, hey, Sam, tell Jon that he is actually the rightful king. And then Jon tells Daenerys, and then Daenerys is like, I feel alone and isolated. And it's like he could see it all. He could see his path to kingdom.
Sure. Well, and even when Tyrion's talking about, like, oh, the good story, blah, 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 like, Jon still could fit into that. He could have still been king.
Yeah, but all of that aside, Bran is a sneaky little creep.
Sure. He was the three-eyed raven and could see everything and remember...
Yeah,
like,
and he saw a clear path to that throne.
Sure.
And he tricked everybody into thinking he was Bran the Broken.
Yeah.
This little bastard.
And then it ends up where it wraps up. They make him king. We get a good scene with the council. And here was the one thing I thought for sure.
Was it that Robin had a Neville-style glow-up?
No.
Like hotter now than you ever did.
He was indeed stylish looking in his veil clothes and everything like that.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking that when Tyrion was setting up for the council meeting, he's got the chair, blah, 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 he moves it all around, and he's sitting there. I thought Bran was going to step out from like a pillar with like the crossbow and then threaten him to be like, hey.
Oh, Bronn.
Bronn, sorry. Not Bran. Bronn.
I was like, Bran can't walk.
Yeah. I thought he was going to show up and threaten him, but they realized that, and he was there. He's on the council, and I was like, all right.
They made him master of coin.
Because he's also the.
They made the criminal master. Okay.
Well, Highgarden is a wealthy kingdom at this point, so.
Also, you skipped over the fact that Sansa decided she wanted an independent North, which was rad.
Which you predicted,
yes,
and I had slightly predicted as well that it was like.
What else happened? That's it. Oh, Arya becomes a pirate.
Sure.
And Jon
goes to the north.
Goes to be a wildling.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, wildling. Yeah. Free folk.
He goes with Tormund and everything, and I was like, as soon as Tormund was there, I was like, he's gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's good.
Okay. So to summarize the season.
Pretty much,
If there's anything you want to talk about.
Well, I assume there's things that we're going to talk about.
So here's my first point. Before we get into the existential questions that I have on my deck, there are paragraphs.
Oh, geez.
Here's some character questions I have.
Okay.
Why do we care about Jon's background at all? Because it was meaningless at the end of the day.
Well, it just kind of set up the threat to Daenerys with the bloodline. I was actually always against that essentially as well, which I was saying in previous discussions of the show, was that I was disappointed with that because I was like, why can't Jon just be a guy?
Yeah.
Just be a normal guy who's just trying to do the right thing as a bastard of Lord Eddard. Cool.
I would have been better with this outcome.
Yeah.
If he had fulfilled any sort of prophecy with the Night King.
There's actually I was reading a little bit that Jon may have been it was like Azai Hazath or whatever it is. Like that, he actually almost does follow into that prophecy.
But it doesn't matter.
But the Night King was defeated, and and then he stopped another tyrant. So, one thing I will say about Jon, and I think this season I noticed it because it's the end, except for maybe once or twice, but throughout the entirety of the show, I think they do a good job of lighting his eyes, because they always look darker than they should.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm like, good on them. Like, they actually always look like almost black.
Fair enough. I felt like at the end of the day, Jon's
lineage.
Well, no, like, I felt like Jon's only purpose the whole show was to kill Dany.
No, well, he did so many more things in the earlier seasons. He was the shield against the wildlings, and then the shield against the dead, and he was...
Yeah, but I don't know. I just feel like they undid things for him this season.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I think they did that for, like, every character, unfortunately.
Yeah, so Sansa is fine with her. I don't have anything to say. Do you have anything to say? She's really cool this season.
Sure.
I liked her makeup.
Well, yeah, and then she pushed back.
I like her Queen of the North crown with the little heads on it.
Yeah, and she was one of the few that was pushing back against Daenerys.
Yeah.
Just to be like, hey,
she was great.
Yeah, you need some check on your power, yo. Right.
Arya, I liked her better. So I really liked Arya at first. Mm-hmm. And then in the last season and the season kind of halfway between before, I started really disliking her.
Yes.
But I went back to liking her.
Oh. Yeah, I feel like in the previous seasons they just didn't know what to do with her, especially in season 7.
Yeah.
They were just like, oh, she's there doing nothing, and we're like, good job.
Also, I made a note that I thought it was strange that she killed the Night King, and then aside from like a toast in episode 4, nobody talks about it again.
Yeah.
Because I guess it wasn't really that big of a threat, even though they set it up from like the beginning that those were the biggest threats.
I did like in the toast when they do cut to Clegane, and he's kind of like doing a good salute. He's like, you know, because he's like been mentoring her.
Yeah, totally.
He's like, yeah, that's my girl. And then of course Gendry does propose to her, and she's like, no,
she's like, nah, it's not me.
Yeah.
I thought that was cute.
Yes.
Daenerys, I know a lot of people didn't like her crazy story arc. I was fine with it.
Yeah.
I didn't think it seemed like it was out of left field. People are mad because they named her kid Daenerys. Bad choice before the season's over.
Still a good name. I actually really did like I said, I thought it was where it was going for me. It was set up well, and I actually felt Emilia Clarke did some really good solid acting this season.
I agree.
And it was just kind of crazy. Yeah, just everything around it.
Yeah. Because so I guess you could argue, like the same argument that I had with Jon, that he's set up to be this like prophesized thing because of his backstory and everything.
Yeah.
I guess you could argue the same thing with Daenerys, but there's less prophecy around her. It was more like people pumping her up.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I'm okay with her story going the way it went. If there was like prophecy that she was going to be the one to defeat the Night King. Okay, Tyrion.
Mr. Peter Dinklage.
I was A-okay with his arc and storyline.
Yeah, absolutely. He nailed it. I think he's consistently nailed it every season, of course.
Yeah, he's such a good actor.
Yeah, very good.
Plays it really well.
And I very much enjoy, like, his character change was great to see on screen and just everywhere it's been and everywhere he's been and etc. And yeah, for sure. I have no qualms. Like, he is the ultimate hand of the king, especially after learning from, Varys and realizing that, like, it's about the people.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, very much liked it.
Bran. I don't think that they achieved whatever they were trying to achieve with him, because I don't know what they were trying to do with him.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody else does.
Yeah. Yeah, he's kind of just been a non-character for the last couple seasons.
I liked him for a while. When him and his work buddy that dies later, when they were all like traveling together, I'm like, hey, that's cool. I like Bran now.
Yeah.
Now I don't like Bran. They have a weird bowl cut and his face looks weird, but aside from that, his goals are never really clearly defined. His abilities aren't really clearly defined.
Yeah.
His purpose in the story, aside from being Operation Pawn Sacrifice, not really defined. And then he wins.
He wins the game.
He wins the game.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on Bran?
No, just like I said, I feel like he's been kind of a non-character, and it's probably just because they just didn't know what to do or how to play it. And I think
feel
that's
like if the guy that was giving the speech that Sansa interrupted and told him to sit down, if he became King of Westeros, would have been the same outcome.
No, I mean, obviously it's
as far as being attached to a character goes,
right.
He might as well have won the Game of Thrones, or Robin, because he had a glow up.
Right.
And then Cersei set out to be the biggest villain ever, badder than the Night King.
No, she's just
pacing wise.
Yeah. Okay.
And then she didn't do anything, and then she died.
Yeah. She just happens to be in control of the Iron Throne. Really, it's like that's it, and that's the seat of power. It's like, yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate because Lena Headey, of course, is
great actress.
It's great as Cersei, and being all crazy.
Because they never gave her hair back.
Yeah, that's true.
All of her power was in her hair. So, the things I liked about Game of Thrones: the cinematography, the music, the costumes, the acting, and the special effects.
Yeah.
The things I didn't like: the overall story and the lack of payoff. Agree or disagree?
I think I kind of disagree.
Oh, you didn't like the cinematography?
No, I think everything in your like list I also liked.
Okay.
Like I said, I felt that the story's conclusion was what they were going at and what they were logically going towards, even like, with some minor subversions or changes, etc. It was just the pacing that it went at it was wrong.
And it was also bad.
I didn't think it was bad.
No, like the overall...
Again...
The pacing was bad and the writing was bad. But I do agree that the overall conclusion wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Just everything to get to that.
I don't know, again, maybe, because I'm like a sci-fi guy, and this is par for the course. Like, it's fine. Like, it's like, it doesn't seem out of the ordinary. Like I said, I think the problem with the speed at it came to the conclusion really, really hurt it. And that way, just because things that should have been stretched out properly and set up properly more could have been set up properly more, and then it would have not been bad in a sense.
Fair enough.
And I think it's also a case, we can get to it a little bit here more if you've got some more things, some more notes, because I have obviously some more notes and some things.
I have questions now.
Okay.
Can I ask you the questions?
Sure.
Will you have answers?
Maybe. Let's find out. Do we have answers to Game of Thrones questions?
So my first question is, I thought that the point of the White Walkers was that despite human conflicts, death is inevitable. That and it's always looming and always in the background.
Right.
Why were they defeated so easily? And was the point of the White Walkers that we were actually the monsters all along?
Well, that's always the point.
Yeah.
Well, because actually that's kind of is, because like I said, the Children of the Forest created the Night King to fight men, because they were killing the Children of the Forest.
Yeah.
And the Children of the Forest realized their creation turned against them, and they teamed up with humans to try to fight them and I guess push them back beyond the wall. But, yeah... Because they talk about it a few times throughout the show, of course, that like winter is a thing that shows up, but it's just like, oh, it's just winter. But the White Walker invasion thing, that doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
Because that only happened like once thousands of years ago.
Okay.
And then it's happening again now, conveniently.
Yeah.
But it's like, so I think it was just, they faded to myth, and the point is that eventually they were supposed to wipe humanity out. So yeah, the point was death inevitable, but
we can stop death?
We can stop it through story. That's Tyrion's point. It lasts forever.
But it wasn't stopped through story. It was stopped through Arya Stark with a tricky dagger move.
With a Valerian blade.
Yeah.
No, I think it was just because it was
if Bran defeated him,
yes,
then yes, we can defeat death through story.
Yes.
But Bran sat in his chair.
That's why I was saying it would have been cool if there was a battle of wills between him and the Night King in some way. I think it's more how the death of magic in that world is occurring, right? Because they talk about that throughout the show. Season 2 mentions it, how there's like only those couple wizard guys left.
Okay.
The dragon showing up again was a sign like, oh, maybe magic is resurging, but then the Night King also showed up because of that. But now there's only one dragon left, no eggs, Night King's dead. Magic is starting to fade away and stuff like that, right?
Maybe if they peppered that in a little bit more.
Yeah, again, it's probably one of those things that it was like they just didn't think about it.
If the dragons were getting sick or something at the beginning of this season, if they weren't doing well,
right.
And then that's why Rhaegar got ouchied so quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, next question.
Sure.
If there's so much emphasis put on prophecy, then why was there no payoff to the prophecies?
Well, I assume you're talking about there's only 2 prophecies I can think of, right? There's the Lord of Light warrior prophecy.
Yeah.
And then there's the one that Daenerys sees, right? in season 2.
Wasn't there...
That's like
Arya got a prophecy too. That she'd shut brown eyes, blue eyes, and green eyes.
Yeah, that's kind of like a one-liner between her and Melisandre, though.
But they did emphasize it quite a bit in episode.
Yeah, because they had to figure out some way to get her there. Just to be like...
Also, if the point is not to trust prophecy, then why wasn't that emphasized?
Well, yeah, because obviously Melisandre makes mistakes because she thinks it's Stannis. Or was he just using Stannis to, like, forward her religion?
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I think the idea that more that it leads towards being Jon seems more plausible.
Yeah.
But I think it's also the Lord of the Light religion is, like, that's, like, fringe stuff. No one believes it anyway. Right?
But she brought back Jon.
From the dead, yeah. I don't know, but it's not like mainstream, like, because it's the religion of the Seven is the mainstream religion in Westeros, right?
Right.
And the Lord of the Light religion is from the East. So, I don't know, I was okay. I think you, like, for some reason are latching onto this whole prophecy thing, whereas I don't care at all. I'm like...
It's from all the YouTube videos.
Yeah, seriously, because to me, I felt no, like, disservice by, like, they didn't nail prophecy items 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, here's the thing.
I honestly, like, I didn't even think about that.
Jon is the main character.
Yeah.
From season 1.
Mm.
And it's hinted at that he will do great things.
Sure.
And then he doesn't.
But he does.
He stabs Daenerys.
He does so many great things. That's what I was saying.
No, he does mediocre things. He goes around and dies all the time.
Yes, but he unites, like, the kingdoms against the White Walkers. No one else done that. You know, he does, like, so many things, but it's just never... Yeah, it's not that one epic Lord of the Rings moment, throwing the ring into Mount Doom. He just does, like...
I wanted a Mount Doom moment.
Yeah, he does a ton of other things that are all great, but they're just not seen that way, I guess.
Not by me.
Okay.
My last question.
Sure.
And then that's it for my notes.
No, it's alright.
Are you ready for this?
I hope.
What was the point of Game of Thrones? I'm serious though, because like I was saying, if it's like death is inevitable, like with the White Walkers, that's cool. If it was like story can overcome death, okay. If like it's the human spirit will go on. If it's the friendship was the real prize,
or we were the monsters all along.
We were the monsters all along. Anything. There's nothing because of this last season that could unite Game of Thrones under a statement, right?
Well, Game of Thrones, or A Song of Fire and Ice, is the story of the happenings to the Stark kids.
Okay.
That's the perspective written in the books, well as that's how the show starts.
Yeah, they kind of waver quite a bit.
They waver on that,
show.
In the show. And the books do as well, because they obviously tell the story from Tyrion's point of view and et cetera, et cetera. But the whole point is meant to be like how the events affect the Starks. Okay. Which is what they tried to get to at the end.
Yeah, they did.
Right? And I don't think there was an overall point. And I think that's not a detriment to me. Again, I'm like as a sci-fi fan person who can consume that kind of stuff all the time. It was just a story of a history of a point in time in this world. Yeah. It was how they managed to defeat the White Walkers. Very cool, right? And then,
Not very cool.
No, but I mean, just like, that's the story of this point in history of this world. And
I feel like the other seasons tried to lean into something.
And I think this is what I was saying earlier.
And then in season 8, that was like Lucy with the football, where they just pulled it away.
Yeah, well, and this was my point, like I was saying earlier, that the earlier stuff felt like there was some sort of overarching master plan, which Littlefinger did have. Yeah. And other people like Varys and trying to react to keep everything going, while other people are trying to climb up the chaos ladder. But they had to waylay all that stuff for the fact that, okay, we gotta do this White Walker thing. Okay, we gotta do Daenerys coming back kind of thing, right? Like, they just didn't have the ability to do that story, and that's fine. You can't translate everything from a book to screen. Got it. True. But like you said, the writing felt good enough, and there was enough scenes where there was other things, so you got the fact that there was these other elements happening.
That's
Whereas
why
they
I
had
feel
to drop all of that after season 6.
And that's why I felt like there was no payoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I could totally agree in that. Like I said, the conclusion was satisfying, but it wasn't satisfying in a way.
Yeah, and I know that Georgie is like, it's gotta be a bittersweet ending, but I don't want the bitter part to be that I feel unsatisfied with the story.
Right.
Anyways, what's on your notes, Dan?
I just had some interesting stuff, because my main question that I was coming away with after season 8 was, when did they know that the show was ending? And I didn't realize this, so I went into some research and I looked, and then I learned that D&D, or David Benioff and Dan Weiss, decided to end the show after season 6. After they wrapped production in 2016, they were like, we're only going to do 2 more seasons. HBO was not the side to say, hey, you got to wrap it up. They were like, nah, man, we can just keep making this. It's cool.
Make it forever. It's a money cow.
Which, yeah. And I was shocked at that, because usually people, of course, that are showrunners or whatever will be like, oh, let's keep it going. We got the gravy train.
Wait, is it because they want to make their other show?
Well, here's the thing. If they want to go off and make other projects, that's fine.
Yeah.
If they said, hey, we want to end it in season 8, and they looked at the story and they pitched it to HBO, and HBO was kind of like, no, we think there should be another 2 seasons, which I feel that there should be at least 1 more season, but let's say 2 to be generous.
Yeah.
Give them enough time and everything, of 10 episodes. These 2 guys, they were the showrunners, but they didn't write every episode, they didn't direct every episode, they just produced and showrun it. Pretty sure they could find people that could step in to continue the work without them.
Yeah.
And that would have been fine. They could have done that transition over, because my initial thought was that I was like, oh, HBO was like, it's getting kind of expensive, we should wrap it, amp it down.
No, they're doing the prequels now.
They're doing prequels, and the budgets kept on going up, but they kept on spending that kind of money, and they were okay with it.
Because they make it back.
Yeah, and so like that was my main kind of.
They don't want people to cancel their HBO Go subscriptions.
Or their HBO subscriptions through cable. So
I canceled my Crave subscription.
Sure.
Like within minutes of season 6 ending, or the
season 8 ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was really shocked to learn that not only that they wanted to do that, that's fine, because like I said, most of the time when people they're like, we're on the train, let's keep making the show what we can, to a satisfying conclusion, because shows have to end eventually. But that HBO didn't push back about it, and like I say, be like, oh, okay, hey, make 1 more season, we'll find some people to replace you guys.
Yeah.
Not as a negative thing, we'll leave on good terms. Because I can almost understand their point of view, because these guys, when they started Game of Thrones, back in like 2012 or whatever the heck it was.
14 million years ago.
Yeah. They did not sign up to finish Game of Thrones, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They thought the books would be done by then. Yeah. Right? And so here is also my qualm with it, because I've read the books that are out. And season 1 is very close, like I said before, to a lot of people. Season 1 is very close to the book. I was shocked. Season 2, pretty close, but there's some divergence there. But after that, they go way off. Yeah. And I'm like, if they wanted to continue to make it,
they should have started splitting the books up into 2 seasons.
Into 2 seasons, yeah, exactly. And they could have done that, and then they could have done those stories more justice.
Yeah.
And then that would have been fine. And then eventually, like I said, if they wanted to step away, they could, and people could understand what the formula is. Plus, they would have, by the time it got closer to this time, they'd still be in, say, like season 5 worth of content that we've got.
Yeah.
George R.R. Martin, I think he has announced that he's written the end of the books, but not put them together yet.
Yeah.
So they might be published and then, etc. So, like I said, I can understand that they were under enormous kind of pressure, or like, some kind of weird, not pressure, but you know what I mean, like hubris to be like, we're gonna finish this show that this other guy's created, and it's weird. So I can understand kind of where they're coming from, but then also it's just like, if you were gonna, if you knew that you had to end that show in season 6, or you announced you're gonna end it in 2 more seasons, that's not enough time.
Nope.
Like, you should have said, like, okay, look, they should have looked at the story and realized, okay, we can't do it in 2, let's do it in 3 then.
Yeah.
Do 1 more, then get out, and then do your other stuff.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do it in a satisfying way. Or, like I said, just be like, okay, we'll do the last 2. HBO, you hire some people. Like I said, there's other writers, producers, like when you look at the credits, it's not their names on every credit, right? So that was just weird to me.
Yeah. Do you know what they're working on instead?
I know that they've signed on to do some Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, I heard Star Wars too. But they're also working on a show called Confederacy, and it's if the Confederacy had won the Civil War.
That's like the Man in the High Castle plot, which is what if Germany won World War II. Yeah. But yeah, I did have some budget numbers, which I thought was kind of interesting, because season 1, it was between 50 and 60 million was reported. Season 2 was a 15% increase, and then after that, it just kind of just averaged like 8 million an episode or so until the 6th season, when it became about $10 million an episode. And then this season it kind of amped up, of course, because they did the longer ones, and it was about 15 to 20 million per episode, which that's hilarious. But also you're like, okay, I guess, but that's...
there's a petition with like 1 million signatures to get them to rewrite this season.
Also, yeah.
That's so stupid.
Yes, I'm like, what are you doing, people? Just don't bring on the hate. Like, yes, you weren't satisfied with the end, but many shows end unsatisfactorily.
That's true.
But what are you gonna do? They gotta, they're doing something. They did something you enjoyed.
Yeah, and this was a point that a podcast I was listening to called, I don't remember the name, but if I'm gonna quote them ish, I'm gonna paraphrase them.
Sure.
The Bald Cast, the Iron Throne. I don't know. Anyway, who cares? But they made a good point in their talking about this episode.
Yeah.
That the writers took a big swing.
Sure.
They said they could have done like an easier episode where they just fulfilled, or an easier season where they just fulfilled fan theories. Like they just picked a fan theory and wrote that and pleased everyone. But instead they took a big swing for something that would be not expected, and they just happened to miss.
I don't even think that at all. I don't even think they took a big swing. I thought this was all standard by the numbers of stuff they've set up previously.
The brand.
That's the only thing where it's kind of like, oh, but that's not even a big deal to me.
Oh, but they were people that didn't think Daenerys should be crazy.
Yeah, but those people clearly weren't watching the show then. So.
That's right.
Like,
I have a podcast about it though.
Yeah.
I don't know things, and I have a podcast.
I don't know. Like I said, to me it was all, and this is, if you then, you want to know more, you can read the books. Like, there's other media related to Game of Thrones. I have read the books. They are enjoyable.
I'm just going to write an alternate ending.
But but it is funny, of course, because you wrote those first two, like, ages ago. They're from, like, the 80s or whatever, right?
Whoa.
So, I don't know. Maybe I'm misquoting that. Maybe they're the 90s. But it's a long time ago, and it's kind of, like, it's definitely from a different time, right, in science fiction writing. So it's funny to read.
But it's not science fiction, it's fantasy.
Sci-fi, fantasy, sorry, it always gets lumped together.
No.
That's what the phi stands for in sci-fi.
Science fantasy.
Yeah, exactly.
Wouldn't it be sci-fi?
Yeah, sci-fi.
I think we should wrap it up unless you have any other notes.
Well, it was interesting. I spent a good chunk of today rereading all of the episode synopses from episode 1 to the end here.
Ooh.
And just so I could kind of remember everything when we're talking about it.
Wait, from like season 1 episode?
Yeah, it's from season 1, episode 1.
Oh my gosh, Dan. You didn't have to work today, did you?
No, I didn't. So, yeah, it was interesting to remember like that some of the earlier seasons did have a lot of events that took place in a short period of time. And so it just seems like, thinking back on them, that I was like, oh wow, that happened, and that happened, and that happened, and that happened.
It was just better.
But it was definitely, like I was saying previously, that those major events were surrounded by other smaller events that helped boost it all up, for sure. Whereas this season and the previous season, we've spoken about this, season 7, and now I know why it felt like rushed and what have you, is because they were trying to end it. Mm-hmm. It just didn't have those other plots and those other characters and those other items to raise it up, and that was
the Battle of the Bastards season 6 or season 7?
I think it was 6. No.
Yeah, because 7 was like Arya and Sansa being friends and not being friends in Winterfell.
And Littlefinger's trial/murder.
I really liked Littlefinger. I wish he was going to show more.
Well, and we said this in our previous recording, was that I feel like Book Littlefinger would have been
fine.
He would have been out of there. He would have seen that coming a mile away and not been there, right?
Yeah.
So, because he's a lot more manipulative, which is one of the things that I like about Book Littlefinger and Book Sansa as well. Whereas, it'll help some people complain about her character. It's so weird. Her character in the books is so different relative to the character that we see on screen.
I think I started liking her around season 6.
Yeah, but she gets way better even in earlier books because she starts to learn immediately from Littlefinger and starts manipulating people around her, and it's way better. So it was always so weird after reading the books and then watching like the next season with her, and I was like, why is this such a different character? She is so much better and like more interesting in my opinion. Like not that, not bashing on Sophie Turner's acting. She does great with the material she has.
Yeah.
I just mean that the writing of her character is so different that it's odd there. But I don't know, yeah, Game of Thrones, we're checking out. I mean, it's one of those things where at the end of the day, people are mad because something they loved was different they were disappointed, but it means that it meant something to you, right?
Yeah, totally. Also, people like getting mad about things.
Yeah.
And I learned that from So You've Been Publicly Shamed, to bring your back to the things I liked. We're wrapping it up now.
I guess. I don't know. I feel like we should say more, but because it was Game of Thrones, it was epic. It was almost a decade of...
The throne melted.
The throne melted, yeah. I mean, it was almost a decade of television that brought fantasy to the mainstream, that Lord of the Rings, it continued that tradition of that, where it's
Lord of the Rings was better.
Well, Lord of the Rings was great. No, but I just mean that...
It's better.
Because Game of Thrones, and I always told so many people about this in the earlier times, that it was a fantasy show, but the show was still really good. Like, the fantasy part didn't get in the way of a good show. Like, it elevated the good show. And it brought it to people that normally would not consume a fantasy show, in my opinion. Because nobody likes that kind of stuff, really, right?
I like it.
Sure, and it's getting more popular. But I think, a show like Game of Thrones helped that along, right? And in, like I said, almost a decade of them making the show, it's done some great stuff, great cinematography, great costuming, great
The costuming is some of the best, I think.
Actors like Lena Headey and Peter Dinklage and Nicholas Castle-Walder, the guy who plays Jaime, right?
He's Danish.
Yeah, and he was also... I've only seen him in one other thing, and he was great as Jaime Lannister. And started off as an egotistical prick, and then again changes, and it was great.
Really weird story arc, but whatever.
Yeah.
We're wrapping it up because we're at an hour 20.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I guess I can keep talking about Game of Thrones for too long.
Game of Thrones. If you would like a part 2 of Dan talking about Game of Thrones,
maybe I'll record one.
hit us up on our website, tomeofuselessness.com. Go to our other social media, Tome of Uselessness, at that. And thank you very much for listening.
Have a good night.
Bye.